A year later, we are frozen in time.
Frustration and anger from two former school board members who say Oxford Community Schools could have prevented last year's mass shooting and accuses the district of covering up that fact. Thanks for joining us for the news at 10. I'm Raven Blue in for Elise. The former board president and treasurer coming forward saying school officials failed to enact safety policies they believed could have prevented the deaths of 4 students and the injuring of 7 others.
I truly believe that if Oxford Community Schools had been prepared with Policy 8400 these past few years and had actually trained on threat assessment, the situation would have ended November 29th and the 30th would have just been another day in Oxford.
Policy 8400 spells out what to do regarding statements or behaviors that suggest a student may intend to commit an act of violence. Former board president Tom Donnelly and former treasurer Corey Bailey say if the district had followed its own guidelines, it would have sent Crumbley home at the first sign of trouble. They say that weeks after the school shooting, board members initially promised transparency.
I want to be clear, the board is made up of good people who wanted to do the right thing, but they were convinced by voices outside of our district that they needed to wait, and that coming forward would only bankrupt the district and potentially tear this community apart.
According to the whistleblowers, the push toward an independent review was met with roadblocks from within.
The most significant roadblock was in the middle to late July when the district's legal counsel met with the legal counsel of the teachers union and the administration union and convinced them not to participate in the review process.
Donnelly and Bailey resigned in September. An attorney representing several families tells TV5 the accusations bolster their claims in a lawsuit against the district.
Why would you have rules? What are the rules for? To prevent the very thing from happening, right?
A rhetorical question posed by an attorney for the families of the victims in last year's mass shooting at Oxford High School. Then Johnson, speaking after 2 former Oxford school board members came forward accusing the district of failing to implement a policy they say might have prevented the shooting.
So don't tell me they were in place and we just didn't use them. If they were in place, they would have been used. They clearly weren't in place.
Policy 8400 requires employees to report to the superintendent or principal any statements or behaviors that suggest a student may intend to commit an act of violence. That would prompt a review by a threat assessment team.
Go after depositions of the teachers. I revealed and shared a picture that Ethan Crumbley drew, not on the day of the shooting, but actually from the first day of school. In other words, at the same time that this test was being given to the students that they apparently never reviewed and never scored and never evaluated, he drew another drawing of himself shooting a gun.
Johnson says today's accusations may lead to additional defendants being added to the lawsuits.
Now that we have this information, we can seek documents to see, are these guys accurate? Was this in place? And then we can get experts to help us and interpret the results, and then what should have been done, which is what we do in every case.
Johnson says this revelation is likely to have a significant impact on lawsuits filed against the district.
They didn't reveal part of this in the lawsuit. So there would be ramifications in court for what they did and didn't do in hiding this from us as well.
The students killed in the shooting were Madison Baldwin, Justin Schilling, Tate Meyer, and Hannah St. Juliana. Johnson says the families want to make sure their children are never forgotten.